Have you ever wondered how many words the English language has? It's a melting pot of hundreds of thousands of words, a vast ocean of language. Among this vastness, there are unique gems, words that are not frequently used. But when unearthed, they reveal fascinating meanings. These words, they're like hidden treasures waiting to be discovered, waiting to enrich our everyday conversations. So how about we embark on a linguistic adventure? Today we dive into the world of uncommon English words that are as fascinating as they are rare. Our first word is brouhaha, a unique word, isn't it? The term brouhaha dates back to the 16th century, originating from the French language. It describes an uproar or hubbub, often over something minor or unimportant. It's as if the word itself is mimicking the noise of a crowd in chaos. Moving on to our second term, lollygag. This word has a more playful tone, doesn't it? Originating from the late 19th century, lollygag is an American slang term. It means to spend time aimlessly or to dawdle. So if you're ever lounging around aimlessly, just remember, you're lollygagging. Both brouhaha and lollygag are fantastic examples of English's vast and colourful vocabulary, each with their unique origins and meanings. So next time you see a commotion, you can say it's a brouhaha. Or if someone's wasting time, they're lollygagging. Moving on to our third word, flummox. The word flummox is a rather delightful term that originated in England during the 19th century. It's a verb that means to perplex or bewilder someone, to cause confusion. If you're ever in a situation where you're completely at a loss for what to do, you're flummoxed. Interesting, isn't it? Now let's check out our fourth word, skedaddle. A fun and lively word, skedaddle originated during the American Civil War. It's a colloquial term that means to depart quickly or hurriedly, to run away. So if you're ever in a situation where you need to make a quick exit, you don't just leave, you skedaddle. It brings a sense of urgency and haste with a playful twist. So if you're ever confused, you're flummoxed. And if you need to leave quickly, you skedaddle. Our journey continues with the fifth word, gobbledygook. This delightful term hails from the late 40s, coined by a US congressman to describe language that is meaningless or hard to understand. Gobbledygook. It's quite fun to say, isn't it? It's like the language equivalent of a tangled pile of spaghetti, where words and meaning get all mixed up and lost. Next up, we have malarkey. Another fun to say word. Malarkey is as Irish as a four-leaf clover. It's a term often used to describe talk that is insincere or foolish. Politicians love this word, using it to challenge the credibility of their opponents. So, if someone is trying to pull the wool over your eyes with some less than truthful chatter, you can call it malarkey. Remember, if something doesn't make sense, it's gobbledygook, or if it's nonsense, it's malarkey. Let's explore our seventh word, poppycock. Now, isn't that a fun one to say? Poppycock is an English word that means nonsense or rubbish, and it's often used to dismiss someone's claim or argument as being false or without merit. The term originated in the mid-19th century and is believed to be derived from the Dutch words pap and kak, which crudely translate to soft feces. So, if you hear someone spouting poppycock, they're essentially full of, well, you get the idea. Moving on to our eighth word, quibble. A quibble is a slight objection or criticism about a trivial matter. It's like arguing over whether the sky is azure or cerulean. It's all blue, isn't it? The term quibble comes from the Latin word quibus, meaning who, which in legal jargon was often used in petty disputes. So if someone's talking nonsense, it's poppycock, and if they're arguing over a trivial matter, they're quibbling. And finally, our ninth word is rigmarole. A delightful word to pronounce. It has a slightly less delightful meaning. Rigmarole refers to a lengthy and complicated procedure. It's believed to have originated in the 18th century from ragman roll, a medieval game involving a scroll with numerous lists. So when you find yourself tangled in a web of bureaucratic paperwork, just remember, you're in a rigmarole. Our 10th and final word is whippersnapper. This word is often used in a playful or affectionate manner to describe a young and inexperienced person, often one who is impertinent or presumptuous. It's a term that has been around since the late 17th century. It's believed to be derived from the habit of young boys snapping their whips to show off, hence a whippersnapper. So a complicated procedure is a rigmarole, and a young inexperienced person can be called a whippersnapper. Now that we've explored these 10 fascinating words, let's summarize. We started our journey with brouhaha, a term used to describe an overexcited response followed by gobbledygook, which refers to language that is meaningless or hard to understand. We then delved into lollygag, a fun word that captures the act of spending time aimlessly, and flummox, which describes a state of being utterly confused. Our fifth and sixth words were skedaddle, meaning to leave hurriedly, and codswallop, a term that expresses disbelief in something that's likely untrue. Moving ahead, we discovered gibberish, another term for nonsensical talk or writing, and poppycock, used to denote something as nonsense or rubbish. And finally, we wrapped up with malarkey, a word that signifies meaningless talk or nonsense, and whippersnapper, a term used to refer to a young, inexperienced person. Next time you're in a conversation, try using one of these words and see how it sparks interest. Remember, language is a tool for communication, but it can also be a source of fun and fascination. Each word we learned today not only enriches our vocabulary, but also adds a dash of color and excitement to our conversations. Stay curious and keep exploring. There's a whole world of words out there waiting for you to discover, so don't let your linguistic adventure stop here. Keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep surprising those around you with your word wizardry.